Hi, welcome back to the channel, y'all. Listen, I'm going to try my best to take you on a journey through this whole P. Diddy trial and all the testimonies that have been going on so far. Walk with me, okay? Just put your ear this way and listen. I don't know if you need to pull up a chair, sit in the couch or sofa, or whatever you got to do. Roll up a joint if you smoke. If you don't, light up something, incense, meditate, but turn your ears this way. Because we all got to get on page about what's popping in this Diddy trial. So, Sean P. Diddy Combs. It starts off with the jurors. The jurors are human beings. The jurors are seeing stuff that to them, some of them, it's appalling. To some of them, it's frightening. To some of them, it's crazy. Because, they're probably starstruck. This is Sean P. Diddy Combs and Cassie and whoever else is coming in there to testify. So, two of the jurors in the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial, they could not hide their reactions to some of the graphic images that were shown during the testimony of Cassie Ventura. According to news media, prosecutors showed the jury 5 still images from graphic videos on May 14th. So they didn't show them the videos, they showed them 5 frozen frames, 5 still videos. Cassie told the jury that the images that they were seeing depicted her at various stages of the encounter that Diddy labeled freak-offs. Y'all are looking at me at various stages of the freak-offs. These freak-offs are central to her accusation that Diddy coerced her into having intimate relations with men that he hired. Now, I must tell you that one of the men actually testified. His nickname is the Punisher. No pun intended, but this is a male dancer, exotic male stripper / sex worker who testified that him and Cassie went around in a session at Diddy's request. Well, at Cassie's request, he said, while Diddy watched. This is the one that testified that Diddy was dressed like a Muslim woman when she's covered all up in the hijab and all that, and the only thing you could see is her eyes. But he knew it was Diddy, right? I don't know. He must have seen that thing poking out at the front of the hijab, knew it wasn't a woman under there. But anyhow, he said to him, Cassie enjoyed it, right? And he could tell by her body language and the way the feedback he was getting from her while they were intercoursing. So that might have blown Cassie's whole testimony there of not enjoying it and being coerced and forced and all that. Plus, they have other evidence that says that Cassie was a partaker and enjoyed at least some of it. Well, and then when the jurors started to give clues as to how they were feeling about what they were seeing. When the jurors were shown the photos, these 5 still frame photos, one juror's eyes widened up. Another juror shook his head from side to side, kind of like how, old black people would go, Yeah, like that. It's the first hint about how the jurors may be feeling about the disturbing testimony in this trial. Cassie Ventura testified for hours that Diddy abused, manipulated, coerced her into a series of graphic activities. She's also accusing him at the end of the relationship that he raped her after the relationship was over. Now, mind you, this relationship lasted almost 11 years. So according to CNN, right, the jurors also saw numerous photographs of her black eyes, fat lips, a gash on her forehead, and other bruises on her body. The still images were from freak-off videos, and those were visible to the jury, but not to the public who were in the courtroom, only to jury members. They showed her with several different escorts. This was reported by CNN that Cassie was shown to the jury in still frame pics in the middle of the act with several different male escorts. What y'all got to also remember is that the jury is seeing what the people who are sitting in the court are not seeing. They're not privy to what is being shown to these jury members. So Diddy's lawyers countered this accusation, this picture that Cassie is trying to bring across, right? Like she was coerced whole 11 years. She had no choice. She had to, kind of thing. Although he did not always behave in an appropriate fashion, this is what Diddy's attorney said. Although he did not always behave in an appropriate fashion, the behavior was consensual. The things that they went on with were consensual, and they didn't reach the criminal standards for trafficking, is what Diddy's attorney said in the court. Cassie, his former girlfriend, is the first accuser to testify in this trial, and Sean Combs, he said, is a complicated man. But this is not a complicated case. Diddy's attorney, Tenny Garagos, told the jurors that, hey, this ain't a complicated case. This is kind of eyes wide open for everybody to see. This case is about voluntary choices made by capable adults in consensual relationships. That's what this is. This not about somebody getting forced, and y'all can tell that this is not about somebody being forced because you can see through her own words and her own testimony from time to time. She says stuff like, I did it because I wanted to please him. I did it because I was in love with Sean and I knew what made him happy. And those were the things that made him happy. These are not words of somebody who does not want to and will not, right? Cassie's mother testifies. She sent Diddy $20,000 to not release her daughter's explicit videos. I know what they're going for here. The thing about this that I think a lot of people are missing is this. When you have a trial like this, right, you have defense and you have prosecution. You have the accusers that's working with the prosecution, and then you have the defense, and they are trying to get the accused off. What you must understand is there is a lot of money floating around in this trial. Not only that, but people are acting as if everything that is said on the stand is absolutely true. The problem is everything that is being said on the stand needs to be proven to be true. I'll give you an example. Cassie's mother shows up. She has pictures from 2011 of Cassie when she must have gotten hit by Diddy. 2011. Bruises on her daughter. We're in 2025. She said back then she felt the need to save those pictures. She didn't know why she did. You would have to prove to me that that's where those bruises come from. And I'll say it like this. The stakes are high. We've seen situations where women have ran themselves into the wall, bruised themselves, and then told the cops when they came, this man punched me and I need him to leave this house. And what happens? That man is arrested. He is taken out of his house, never laid a hand on her, taken out of his house. And before you know it, she has another man in that house. He is no longer allowed to live in that house because he is viewed as an abuser when she is the one who inflicted those wounds on herself. You think for 10, 20, 30 million dollars, 40, 50 million dollars potentially, that there aren't people out here who will conspire with their mom and their ex-best friend and get their circle together so they can secure this life-changing amount of money? So the very fact that listeners, commenters, people who are speaking and leaving comments all over social media and getting all emotional about this case, the very fact that so many people think that everything that is said on the stand by the accused is absolutely true. Oh my God, he's demonic. He was a devil. Oh gosh, why would he do such a thing? I believe her. I hope nobody ever tells lies on you or anybody that's close to you. And if they do, I hope you never ask for proof. I hope you just remember that you believed everything you were told about somebody else and you never asked for proof. So when somebody lies on you, remember, no proof is required. Let me keep on going. So Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura, one of the latest witnesses to take the stand during Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing sex trafficking trial. On Tuesday, May 20th, Ventura spoke about the music moguls contacting her. Diddy reached out to her, according to her, and allegedly threatened to release explicit videos of Cassie. Reached out to her mother, which made her, the mother, extremely worried for her daughter's safety. That is her confession. Now, Cassie testified that Diddy wanted $20,000 for the video and that he was angry that he had spent a lot of money on Cassie and that she was with another person because it was one of those times where she was seeing other people while she was seeing him and he found out. So Ventura said, the mother said that she was so scared that she took out a home equity loan against her house to pay the $20,000 to Diddy so her daughter could be safe. And then she said a few days later, the money was mysteriously just returned to her. I was scared for my daughter's safety, she said. That's why I did it. Now, if you're going to make that accusation to me and you tell me you have pictures from 2011, you also have the wire transfer from 2011, you must prove these accusations in court, right? Okay. She also claimed that she took photos of her daughter's bruises and injuries in late 2011 to make a record of the alleged beatings at the hands of Mr. Combs. She also recalled the incident when she called the police after Cassie told her that Diddy took her phone away from her. Notably, the defense team chose not to cross-examine Cassie's mother's statements, allowing her testimonies to stand uncontested. Mama just came in there, said what she had to say. The defense said, we're not even going to question her. Just let her go. I think it was a strategy by the defense. They didn't want to seem like they were over there beating up on this older woman who was a bit frail. There's her pregnant daughter in front of her, witnessing her getting badgered by a team of attorneys. So they basically let her say what she said, and then they sent her on her way. I am sure when it comes time to rebuttal, they will definitely say, Cassie's mother got up here, Mrs. Ventura, and she said a lot of stuff, but none of it brought proof with it. Haha. Okay. Earlier in the day, Diddy's former personal assistant, David James, also took the stand and testified and spoke about his experience being employed under the Bad Boy Records founder, under Sean P. Diddy Combs. This is his former assistant. He specifically recalls one particular night that him and Diddy and a team grabbed multiple guns and they went to confront Suge Knight in a Los Angeles restaurant in 2008. The incident, he said, left him so shook that he decided to quit his damn job. I don't want to work with him no more. He said, I was really shook up about it. This was the first time as his assistant that he said, I realized that my life was actually really in danger. And I told them, I said, I want to leave, but give me 6 months notice so that I could train the next assistant. Now you know your life is in danger. You see lots of guns, and you know who Suge Knight was at the time. For those of you who weren't around in the East Coast versus West Coast beef, Biggie and Tupac lost their lives over that BS. You should have seen it. It was on site. It was war. Okay, and for those who are in the trenches of that, the minute you caught wind of that, I'm not saying give me no 6 months to train your next assistant. I'm putting in my notice today. Hello, I am out of here. You are fearing for your life, but you want 6 months, not 6 months to stack some money up because I wasn't really saving because I was comfortable in my job and you were taking care of me, Mr. Combs. Not 6 months because you just want to hang out a little bit more, see how things go, then make your mind up for real. 6 months to train a new assistant. First of all, this is a situation where you realize your life is in danger. Why are you training somebody else to go put their lives in danger? You that concerned about your life, you should have left. So Cassie, who was Diddy's girlfriend during the year that this event occurred, also testified on the same day. She said that Diddy stopped one of their freak-off sessions so that he could go confront a fellow music industry titan, leaving her terrified and worried about what he might do. In the middle of the freak-off, Diddy said the freak-off could wait. Beef is popping off right now, and I don't back down. He grabbed the pistols, he grabbed the team, and he headed over there to go see Suge Knight. Yo, this case right here is like a damn Netflix movie, and still, they have not proven racketeering and they have not proven sex trafficking. They just given us a whole lot of damn drama, twists and turns, the plot thickens kind of thing. Cassie said, I was screaming and I was crying. Please don't do anything stupid. I don't know what they were going to do, she said. Cassie is telling on herself. Because in the middle of a freak-off that you claim you didn't want to be a part of, you were being forced to do it, this man picks up a gun and leaves and goes to confront a very volatile individual. We're talking about Suge Knight. Your ass should be glad he stopped the freak-off. You should be over there praying that Suge Knight got some goons with him and it pops off, and your nemesis, one who is forcing you to live a life you don't want to live, does not make it back. But instead, you're over there screaming and crying and you were begging him to keep the freak off going and stop and please don't go over there. This doesn't sound like somebody you were terrified of. Diddy is currently facing 1 count of racketeering conspiracy and 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He was arrested in New York City on September 16th of 2024, and he was held and has been held at the MDC Brooklyn without bail since then. The prosecutor's opening remarks alleged that Diddy used his money and his power, his fame and all that to facilitate 2 decades worth of sexually abusive freak-offs with countless victims, they called them. The defense plans to argue that Diddy's sex partners participated during these events willingly. Diddy was consistently and vehemently denying all these accusations and said, yep, we got into all those things and it was done by grown-ass consenting adults. This man is facing 15 years to life in prison under all this. Seeing these men who they call sex workers come out and say, you know, it was consensual. Wasn't nobody forced up in there, and at no time had I ever seen Cassie being forced. Matter of fact, she enjoyed the encounters. I wonder if Diddy was not able to please Cassie sexually. I wonder if she had a ferocious appetite for, somebody like that could be labeled like a nympho, right? And he fed that appetite along with all the other habits that she had developed over the years. Well, Inner Circle members give their testimony as the second week of Sean Diddy's trial gets underway and things are popping like popcorn in a microwave, baby. Hold your seat. So after a week of testimony, right, from star witness Cassie Ventura, federal prosecutors in the ongoing Diddy trial, it started off with them calling witnesses that they believe could corroborate the ex-girlfriend's allegations, threats, and abuse, and all that violence and all that other stuff. Dawn Richards takes the stand. Dawn Richards is a former member of the pop group called Diddy Combs that was signed to and managed by Diddy. Told jurors that she personally witnessed Diddy assaulting Cassie Ventura. Cassie's former best friend, Kerry Morgan, recounted also pleading with Cassie to leave what Morgan viewed as an abusive relationship. And Diddy's former assistant, David James, offered a glimpse of what it was like working for the rap mogul. You got to remember, this is Cassie's best friend who was no longer her best friend. She said that one time Diddy was attacking Cassie and she spoke up and jumped in it, and she got hit by Diddy with a wooden hanger and she left. And, she said later on, Cassie offered to meet with her at a diner, and they met up at the diner. Cassie showed up with $30,000 in cash for her and a NDA paperwork, non-disclosure. She said, I need you to sign this and take this $30,000. If you take the money, you got to sign the paperwork. Paperwork basically says you never mention anything that happened amongst us. What happens here stays here. The friend said, I took the money, I signed the paperwork, and I never spoke to Cassie again. So they're making it seem like, it was that serious. I just never spoke to her again until now. Inside that courtroom, the testimonies that played out like a real legal tug-of-war. Lawyers from Diddy's side tried to cast doubt on the prosecution's witnesses and highlighted inconsistencies in their testimonies. They were clawing back some of the credibility that they might have built up with the jury during their direct examination. Diddy has pled not guilty. We must keep on reminding people that. Now, again, please remember that what is said on the stand, people can lie on the stand unless what is said on the stand has proof that backs it up. That is all accusations, my friend. So, Dawn Richards, she began her testimony after Cassie left the witness stand, and she resumed her appearance in court Monday morning by testifying how she witnessed Diddy beat Cassie Ventura multiple times. Dawn even testified that she witnessed Diddy punch Cassie one time in the face with a closed fist way back in 2009. Remember, we're in 2025, y'all. Way back in 2009, before a music festival in Central Park. And then she went on to say, Cassie's eye changed color because, you get punched in the face, you get a black eye. She said we could see the black eye coming on, so Cassie said she was going to put on some sunglasses and put some makeup over it, over the black eye, wear sunglasses, to deflect. People won't notice. And Dawn said, we all put on sunglasses in solidarity with Cassie that day, so we just look like a bunch of girls in sunglasses instead of her sticking out with sunglasses on by herself. The jury then saw photos of Cassie and other members of Diddy Combs wearing those sunglasses at the festival. That does not say that's proof that Diddy punched her in her eye that day and she had to wear sunglasses. It just said a bunch of us wearing sunglasses that day. On the reverse, the defense attorneys could say, y'all conspired because you thought this up. Like, remember that time we went to the festival and we all wore sunglasses? We could just say today that it was because he punched you in the eye, and we got to come with some kind of proof to the courtroom. We can't just come with accusations. You understand what I'm saying? So this could be taken either way. Dawn Richards, she also testified that the violence extended to other public settings, and she alleged that Diddy one time again punched Cassie in the stomach during a group dinner. And this group dinner was a star-studded group dinner. In other words, she drew everybody else's name in it that don't want no problems with this type of case right here. She called Usher name. She called Neo's name. She called Jimmy Iovine name. She just called a whole bunch of big name people's name. She mentioned that she mentioned these same allegations in her own civil lawsuit against Diddy, but the defense attorneys highlighted that Dawn's prior discussion of this dinner did not mention all these names. She just said, we were at a dinner one time and he punched her in her belly. And now that you're in court, you're telling a whole different version and adding all these famous people's names to it. Dawn in 2024 actually opened up a lawsuit against Sean P. Diddy Combs for copyright infringement and false imprisonment, alleging, among other things, that he groped her on numerous occasions and that he forced her to endure inhumane work conditions. Diddy denied these allegations, and his attorney last week filed a motion to dismiss that case, even while she was here testifying in this case. So that's a whole separate case. But cross-examination, defense attorney Nicole Westmoreland said Richard's account of an alleged assault has changed several times. It's like every time you tell this story, you tell a different version, prompting some members of the jury to visibly shake their heads and start scribbling on their notepads. The defense attorney, one of Diddy's own, also suggested that Dawn Richards agreed to testify against Diddy because he ruined her music career by dismantling the music group which he had formed, which she was once a part of, Diddy Kane. She asked Dawn Richards, she said, you felt like Mr. Combs ruined your career? Not once, but twice. And Dawn answered, yes. Now, Ventura's former best friend took the stand as well. She talked about this particular time. She testified that she saw Diddy hit Cassie in a home that Diddy rented in Hollywood in the Hills. And she testified about a second instance when Diddy allegedly, in her presence, assaulted Cassie Ventura during a trip to Jamaica. So even as Cassie's friend, they were getting flown out, trips to Jamaica, all this other stuff, all at the expense of Diddy. She said on the stand, though, I heard her screaming and I went to the hallway. The hallway was extremely long and they were coming out of the master bedroom and he was dragging her on the floor by her hair. Seems like something that Diddy did all the time. Because in that video in the hotel, that's exactly what he was doing, dragging Cassie by her hair. Again, we can't deny that. We can't deny that. But that does not say racketeering, or it does not say the other charge he is up against, right? Sex trafficking. So the prosecutors also asked Morgan about the aftermath of a 2016 incident when Diddy is accused of assaulting Cassie, and Ventura has testified that this occurred when she tried to leave a freak-off at the Continental Hotel in Los Angeles. Parts of that incident was captured on the closed-circuit CCTV video. We got the straights on that already. That freak-off, she was not trying to leave a freak-off. A freak-off had already happened. Cassie herself testified that freak-off, she initiated it. She testified that she initiated it because Diddy's attorneys have text message record of her initiating it, saying when she wants it and how she wants it. And Diddy said, boom, I'll make it happen like that then. And he did. When asked why she did that, if this is something that she hates to do, why did you initiate it? Why did you organize it? She said, because I had an event coming up and it was the most important event I had ever done in my career, in my life, and I did not want to miss it. So I wanted to give Sean what he wanted first, make him happy first, because I know that is what he is into. And I figured if I did the freak off, then I could go uninterrupted to my premiere. Right. So even though she did the freak off, Sean had another freak off plan, didn't care about her going to that premiere, and they got on drugs during the freak off, which they all testified about so far, and the being drunk and high and all that, argument ensued. And what we saw with her running down the hallway was her saying, I got to get out of here because an argument started and I don't want to get hit, because if I get hit in my face, I won't be looking my best when I go to that premiere, right? Diddy's former assistant testified about life in Mr. Combs' kingdom. As he entered the headquarters of Bad Boy Entertainment in New York, James said that an employee there remarked about a photograph of Diddy hanging on the wall. He said, "This is Mr. Combs' kingdom, and we're all here to serve in it," James said. The fuck you mean? Of course. This man is running a billion-dollar or multi-million-dollar, potentially billion-dollar business. That's how he runs his business. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not criminal. But I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to paint him as this sadistic individual, narcissistic individual. The world revolves around him. But hey, there's a thin line between genius and crazy, right? So James then testified about the demanding hours that were required and the weapons that Diddy's security staff carried and the time that Cassie warned him about Diddy. She said to me, "Man, this lifestyle is crazy." James testified Cassie saying to him, she said, "I can't get out. You know Mr. Combs oversees so much of my life. He controls my music, my career. He gives me an allowance. This life is crazy." James' testimony is set to resume, and then it did resume, and then he did say everything else that was on his mind. That line of testimony could establish the broader enterprise of people who supported and enabled Diddy's activities if we're looking to prove here that there was racketeering involved, right? With Cassie saying, "Man, I can't get out. This life is crazy. He give me an allowance. He controls my music career. He controls my life," kind of thing. How do we know that Cassie and this former employee of Diddy did not conspire? Hey, I got $20 million and then $10 million. I got some money. I'll split bread with you, but I need you to come to court and back my story up, right? Prosecutors released evidence from Ventura's testimony. After they did that, the internet went wild. Through the evidence, jurors were able to see more of the bruises and the gashes and the welts because Cassie was apparently keeping a record and she showed her eye busted, her body bruised up. They also saw a knife that Cassie said that she used that knife to block the door and to protect herself from Diddy. And this time she wasn't living with him. She was never living with him. She always lived by herself. She said, they asked her, "What's that knife for?" In the picture, she said, "I was getting a lot of unannounced visits at my place from Sean, where he was angry and he was trying to kill two birds. I was trying to kill two birds with one stone, to lock the door and to have a weapon," she said, at the same time. So prosecutors also released photos of the night that Diddy was arrested last year and things that were found in the hotel room that Diddy was arrested in. Crazy thing is, in that hotel room, they found $9,000 in cash. They found substances. They said there was a pink powdery substance, which after it was tested, it was confirmed to be made up of other illicit substances, cocaine, MDMA, other types of stuff like that. Substances, they said, tested positive also for ketamine and MDMA. And they found bottles of baby oil in the same hotel room. This man knows they're coming to bring him in. And he got $9,000 in cash. He got condoms in there. He got drugs all over the place and baby oil that were stocked by Diddy for use during sex parties that witnesses have described in their testimonies. Now, I'm thinking to myself, maybe Diddy knew he was going away for a minute. And he was like, listen, if this is how I'm going to go out, I'm going to be high as hell. And I'm going to have one more freak off before I go. Because I don't know how long they're going to have me for. And I think he really committed to it. And he might be a sex addict. You never know. You never know. Well, that's that. So, moving right along, right? You have all these people that are testifying. Dawn encourages Cassie to leave. Dawn said she was telling Cassie, I told her, listen, you should leave him. You got to get out of this. You got to get away from him. She testified that Diddy warned her, stay your ass up out of my relationship. Dawn also testified that Diddy said something along the lines of, you better not tell nobody nothing. You know what happened to people who talk. They disappear, right? So all these are taken into consideration now when they are looking at the coercion and forcing and dealing with keeping people in fear to get your way. All that could fall under sex trafficking, right? She said specifically, he said, you could die or you could go missing. That's what she told the jurors. Now it's up to the jurors to believe if this is true, if he actually said such things. You know what happened to people. People die. She said, I was shocked, but I was also scared, and I couldn't believe that this would be the beginning of a journey for us. Days before Diddy was arrested, Dawn's lawsuit went in. She filed a lawsuit because scandal had already broke, right? And she filed a lawsuit of sexual abuse. Right after it was announced that Cassie got paid is when Dawn filed her lawsuit. Apparently, Cassie's mom also told them that the jury, the courtroom, that her daughter told her that she was being abused and beaten by Diddy. So they asked her, how'd you feel about all that? She said, it made me sick. It made me physically sick to my stomach from this horrifying abuse. Your daughter told you this man is beating me and abusing me. And you said it made you physically sick. You didn't say call the police. You didn't say, nah, baby, we got to find a way to get up out of this. Get the FBI involved. Something. You just said it made you physically sick. This relationship, man, lasted almost 11 years. Cassie is now almost 40 years old, right? And for her, there is absolutely no level of accountability in any of this. People who have dealt with her throughout the time she was with Diddy, even the people who can testify that, yeah, there were times when he would hit her, he would beat her up. He would then go spend a lot of money on her. Even those people can testify that there were two sides to this relationship, and there were two sides to Diddy and Cassie. They had their loving days, their loving moments where everything was on a high and going good, and everybody is smiling, laughing, having fun, flying places, red carpet walking, big events. And then there were times when the mood was tense and they were angry at each other. And sometimes it was Cassie that would punch Diddy in his face and start a fight. And sometimes it was Diddy who would punch Cassie in the belly and start a fight, right? To me, I'm still seeing domestic violence. And the sad part is there's absolutely no accountability on Cassie's end. She loosely says stuff to incriminate herself, but she doesn't even see that she is incriminating herself, right? And this whole thing about her being young at the time and all this, that's garbage. So the prosecutor alleged then that Bad Boy Records co-founder carried out a RICO conspiracy by employing a network of bodyguards and high-ranking employees to assist him in trafficking and transporting young women and male commercial sex workers across state lines to participate in these freak-offs. The feds says that members of Diddy's web of employees went to extreme lengths to cater to the rapper and the mogul in all the things he wanted to do, which that meant that they engaged in kidnapping and arson and drugs and sex crimes and bribery and obstruction of justice and a long list of shit. Kid Cudi is set to testify on behalf of the prosecution. In Cassie's testimony, Cassie mentioned she was seeing Kid Cudi while she was seeing Diddy, but Diddy didn't know. Now, this is not somebody that you're afraid of. When a woman is afraid of a man, she doesn't go dating other men while she is dating him, knowing that if he finds out, it's going to be violent. She even said that when they had an argument, she left. She was leaving. When he found out, she said she's going to Kid Cudi's house. And he kicked her. He was barefooted in the house, and he kicked her in her back. And she said she could remember it because he left a bruise, like a footprint in her back, because he kicked her with his bare foot in her back. And she left, and she went to Kid Cudi's house. And she spent some time with Kid Cudi. And then she left Kid Cudi and went back over to Diddy, because so they could sit and talk it out. Any well-thinking person could wrap their mind around that. You got two men that you're seeing as a woman. The main one did not know you were seeing the second one, who is also a popular artist. When the main one finds out you and him getting into an argument, you said, I'm going over to his house. The woman in the middle. He's a violent person, so he kicks you in your back on your way out the door. He did not tie you up and tell you couldn't go. He did not block the entrance to the door and say you can't leave. He kicked you in your back and said, go. I don't give a F. And then there's the story about after she was seeing Kid Cudi for a while, one day out the blue, Sean said, which Diddy said, I'm going to have somebody kill both of you, physically hurt both of you, and I'm going to blow his car up while we're out of the country. And then there's a report and a rumor that his car blew up. They're going to have to prove that Diddy was the one that blew that car up. You understand? And her saying he said he was going to blow it up and then it blew up, that's not proof that he blew it up. He can simply say, I never said any such thing to her. She was like, I can't get out. Mr. Combs oversees my life. He controls my music. This is Diddy's assistant, former assistant, that is saying, this is what Cassie was saying. He was encouraging her, leave him. You said the life is crazy, just leave. And she said to me, I can't get out. He controls everything. This sounds planned to me. Kid Cudi is expected to take the stand sometime this week. And when Kid Cudi takes the stand, this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm going to leave this one right here for now. I want y'all to leave your comments in the comment section below. I tried to bring you as much of it as I could. I will stay glued to this, and I will bring you more as things unfold. All right? Remember, this is not our problem. This is their problem. I've had one person say, oh, she's unsubscribing from my channel because she can't believe I'm defending Diddy. Hey, at the end of the day, we all will be seeing this from different angles based on our own experiences in life. Those experiences in life that have made you who you are will also help you to determine what you've seen or what you've heard and what that could possibly mean. At the end of the day, I'm looking for proof for every accusation. If that accusation does not come with proof, it is just an accusation. And I apply that to life. If somebody comes to me and says to me something about you who is listening this right now, the first thing I'm going to say to them is, show me some proof. If they can show me proof, I'll believe. If they don't show me proof, then I will take it as someone made an accusation. It is unproven. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.